Mike Sierra 1 can't handle the truth.
You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. How can you do a thing like this?
I am authorized to assure you these rumors are based on hysteria and are absolutely false. I repeat, these rumors are absolutely false.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining me once again as I take another look into the relentless lies of Mike Zeroh. This is Zeroh, a compulsive liar, fraud, clickbaiter and grifter. He is responsible for giving Star Wars fans fake news about what is actually going on within TV shows and films which have, or are going to be put out by Lucasfilm and Disney in the not-too-distant future. He doesn't care that real news is out there. He would rather lead you down the garden path with his take on what is going on, when in actual fact what he talks about couldn't be further from the truth. Over the past few months I think I have given out some compelling details that highlight these lies from Zeroh. There is nothing wrong with speculation, there is nothing wrong with theory. But his news is none of those things. His terminology is one of fact, not rumor or any of the aforementioned. He is telling you that his news he presents are actually based on leaks that he has somehow got access to. A prime example of these lies would be that John and Dave along with George Lucas are seemingly making numerous trilogies based in the High Republic, the Old Republic. There is also the Lucas trilogy and a fourth trilogy which are apparently episodes 10, 11 and 12. So that makes 4 trilogies in total that Zeroh claims they are working on, plus rewriting or remaking the originals and the prequels and God knows what else. But at Celebrations Europe in 2023, none of those were mentioned other than a Rey-centered film, and a film that Dave Filoni will be working on, both of which never found their way into Zeroh's crystal ball. But he talks about those announcements now, but still talks about the other trilogies as though they still exist.
While we realize that Star Wars best deserves to be placed in the cinema and in theaters for our audience, we have started to fine-tune and right-size our Star Wars slate of films, many of which have been unannounced that we will be taking off the table to correctly organize our upcoming slate of projects. The 3 films that we have announced at Celebration will also be getting some revisions to their stories and budgets to help make us ensure a successful journey with these releases. We felt it was best to focus on quality instead of quantity, and our intention is to make these films both small-scale and large-scale films to add to the variety of our fans. We are happy to announce that John and Dave will be a great help with our upcoming slate as we continue to right-size our slate by excluding some of those movies to focus on others. Now, let me just pause here quick, guys. Now, what he is saying is that the 3 movies that we got announced at Celebration, those are going to remain, but they are going to be getting a lot of revisions, both on a creative scale and on a financial level. But what's even all the more revealing is that they are canceling a whole lot of movies behind closed doors that have yet to have been announced, that will be giving them the opportunity to focus on these movies more so. Now, believe it or not, this has a lot to do with those greenlit Star Wars movies by Kathleen Kennedy over the years that have been in limbo mode.
So to clarify, the 3 films announced at Celebrations from Dave Filoni, James Mangold and Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy are the ones being worked on going forward. Everything else has been halted by Bob Iger in favor of those films. So basically what Zeroh has done here is changed his narrative once again to fit his own clickbait news. His so-called film slate never happened, so he came up with the story that Iger has stopped everything, except the 3 real films that were announced. But to give himself some wiggle room, he is insisting that they are going to be revising films that haven't even started production. Thus he can claim a whole manner of different scenarios surrounding the new films, as well as insisting that the other films, the ones that only Zeroh talks about, will be announced later this year.
Pedro Pascal has been putting himself into drama about The Mandalorian Season 4 with Favreau and Filoni. Now, it's noted that both Filoni and Favreau have been getting into many creative struggles with Pedro Pascal of what he wants to do for Din Djarin in the 4th season of the show, and is said to be getting lots of flack from the Disney executives about all of this. This most likely involves Pedro demanding to have his helmet off during that season for 80% of the time, and that he is making it clear that if he doesn't get more face time than usual, that he wants to walk away from the 4th season of Mandalorian.
That last clip was from July of last year, just one of numerous videos Zeroh made about Pedro and his insistence that he wanted more screen time with the helmet off in The Mandalorian. At the end of May 2023, Pedro did an interview whereby he openly admitted that the physical toll it took on him was too much to carry on, and he now only provides the voice for Din Djarin. So once again, Pascal hasn't really been in the armor that much, but only when he was required to actually remove his helmet in scenes like the one with IG-11, the face recognition sequence in The Believer, and when he took his helmet off for Grogu, before Grogu left with Luke Skywalker. Everything else Zeroh has talked about are just bare-faced lies when you take into account what Pedro stated in his most recent interview, which bolstered what most already knew or believed.
Now, it's described, however, that Pedro Pascal wants to quit from a specific Star Wars TV series that Kathleen Kennedy is working on, that she is planning to bring in Din Djarin in the form of a cameo. Now, it's noted that Pedro Pascal now wants to quit from the Skeleton Crew Star Wars TV show as Din Djarin, as he believes for what he is being paid for a glorified cameo in the series is nowhere near enough or close to what he was requesting and demanding to be paid.
Pascal leaves the Skeleton Crew because he wasn't being paid enough for a so-called cameo in that show. If you apply logic to this based on him being open about not being in the armor in The Mandalorian, why would he want to quit a show they don't need him in for anything other than for voiceover work? This also happens to be a problem for Daisy Ridley, who is also complaining about money in a film that they haven't even begun filming yet. Zeroh creates his own drama because there just isn't enough news for him in the real world, and drama within the Star Wars IP creates him more money.
So it'll be interesting to see exactly which side she takes, but for now, behind closed doors, she is rehired for Mando 4. It's just a matter of her accepting that, and she has to accept it by this April. This is actually, believe it or not, moving along very well. In fact, it's all really down to Gina's decision right now until May. She's got until May to make a decision. The thing about this is the fact that they are redoing Rangers and reinstating it to the roadmap, kind of giving it a new story, enhancing the story, giving it a new title. It's basically going to be Rangers reincarnated. And that's the one show that Gina was supposed to lead in, and now they're giving it to her. Now, it's a very big work in progress. It's going to be all up to Gina Carano, and she's going to have to decide by this June if she even wants to come back. Now, many of which already involve Cara Dune into the story that is planned to redesign her character entirely for Dave Filoni's movie. This is an idea by John and Dave to really kind of give the character a brand new value. Now, what's interesting also about Gina Carano returning and the fact that Bob Iger approved a lot of these plans already that's going to be finalized by this September, and how a lot of Disney executives are already on board with this. Things are really shaking up right now for the better.
More proof, if proof was needed, about the lies surrounding Gina's return to the Star Wars universe. April, May and June were the deadlines for her to decide if she wanted to come back. I have said this time and time again, it's Zeroh who is creating these time frames, which he shifts as each one passes. At the time of making this video, June 4th, 2023, nothing has happened. April has been and gone. He then said May, and guess what? She still gave no response. And finally another deadline, June, the month we have just entered. And it won't happen here either, because as you just heard, her inclusion in Mando 4 and the movie by Dave Filoni will be finalized in September, and I guarantee you, when that comes and goes, he will make up a new date and new story about Gina and how and when she will come back next.
Specifically, multiple Star Destroyers in the sky, with X-Wings getting shot down by TIE fighters over a sandy planet. A cloaked figure in a rear shot appears. The figure is covered in a black cloak with his arm reaching out. A mechanical hand with its fingers spread, as an Imperial Class 2 Star Destroyer begins to sink as it hits the ground. Further, it's noted that one major scene is said to be in the form of a flashback when Luke Skywalker speaks to newcomer Kyle Katarn as one of his new Jedi students in the Mandoverse. The flashback is said to involve a moment in which Luke Skywalker is on the world of Jakku, where he lands down on the surface with his X-Wing and steps out, telling nearby villagers to go inside. A particular scene from the script of Rangers of the New Republic, a cancelled series, was revived to be used as a flashback in The Mandalorian 4 that is set to showcase Luke using a Titanic-level power during the Battle of Jakku. This moment is said to involve Luke Skywalker taking down a Star Destroyer, very much like that Starkiller did in the Force Unleashed video game. One of the big moments that is currently being worked on by both John and Dave for an upcoming Star Wars show that will focus on Luke again is described to take place within The Mandalorian Season 4, in the form of a flashback through one of the new characters that will be introduced that goes under the code name of Jared. Now, Jared is described to have been a fighter who battled on Jakku during the final fight against the Empire, where a flashback begins that brings in one of the big moments for Luke Skywalker. Now, all of this was storyboarded by John and Dave already for The Mandalorian Season 4, where a rear shot of Luke in his black robes appear on the edge of a cliff on Jakku, where he begins to raise his arm and spreads his fingers and toward one of the many Star Destroyers. However, one of the big scenes that John and Dave are planning for the revised version of Rangers of the New Republic is set to take place during the events of the Battle of Jakku. This scene is already all storyboarded and ready to be put into the official script, which, by the way, they do begin writing sometime by 2024. Now, actor Graham Hamilton, in case you guys did not know, is set to return as Luke in the show, and will be working with Mark Hamill to fulfill a scene where Luke is set to take down a Star Destroyer on the sands of Jakku.
It's been close to 7 years that Zeroh has shoved down your throats that Luke will bring down a Star Destroyer, be it Episode 7, 8 or 9, Rangers of the New Republic, the original or revised version, and let's not forget Mando Season 4. And with all of his inside knowledge, this is just another event he has claimed will happen and never has. I'm just waiting now for its inclusion into the new Dave Filoni movie. I say waiting, because it's bound to happen at some point, as it will be just another load of clickbait Zeroh is happy to throw at unsuspecting Star Wars fans. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope I have once again shed some light on a very dark character indeed, when it comes to overused fake news. Until the next time, take care, and I'll see you again soon.